And we are live almost. Just kidding. Come on, Instagram, get it together. All right, cool. So, I'm just going to get rid of this TikTok thing. Make sure I look good and my microphone is working. But today we're going to be going over the theory of constraints. This is typically it is for business. This is for business owners. Like, if you're not scaling, if you're not growing, if you're not excelling, if you're going backwards, the theory of constraints is going to basically help you analyze where you are and break through to the other side. Okay. So if you're ever watching this somewhere, this is a very important video. This will just give you clarity. Business is not magic. It is not vibes. It is numbers and facts and data and words. And maybe there's a little bit of vibes and magic. But for the most part, it's all relatively straightforward. Okay. Sorry, let me share my entire screen so that I can get the presentation set up, and then let's hit it. All right, cool. Theory of constraints. Oh, so happy I could get this video out. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming and watching this video. What is the theory of constraints? The theory of constraints is that there are, in every step of a business, whether it's starting a business, whether you're at $1 million a month, there are going to be bottlenecks and issues that stop you from scaling, that stop you from being successful and getting where you want to go. Sadly, most business owners just throw their hands up and quit, or they don't even try to figure it out. And other times, the business is just so complex that we don't know where to look. Okay. The story that I'll start off before we get into the presentation is there's a big software company. They had this huge pipeline of flow and of leads, and they just weren't making enough money. And they were making a lot of money at one point, and then it all kind of broke, and they didn't know what to do. So they called up a consultant, right? They called the consultant. The consultant comes in, and the consultant listens to everybody at the company and the issues. And then finally, the same day, the consultant stands up, looks at the pipeline, and makes one big red X on the pipeline, and he says, "This is what you need to fix, and this is what you need to do in order to fix your problems." All right, and then the consultant leaves, and then the consultant sends the business owner a invoice for $20,000, and the business owner is freaking out. He's like, "What? $20,000? What is all this? Like, I need an itemized inventory. I need to know what I'm paying for." And then the consultant sends him back an itemized inventory. It says, $1 for the X that I put on the board, $19,999 for knowing where to put that X. And the idea is that the consultant had spent 20 years working on businesses, finding bottlenecks, fixing problems, and that the business owner was paying for all of that to basically do it. And the theory of constraints is, if you ever are not getting where you want to go in life, if your business isn't getting ahead, you have to analyze each one of these sections to figure out, okay, this is where our bottleneck is. This is where our problem is. Okay. But the theory of constraints, why you're stuck and how to break through. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Unknown. All right, that's the core of the theory of constraints. Is your business is a flowing, living business, but things break. All right. So this is a really good. I got this actually from J.D. Rockefeller. He writes letters to his son, and I've been reading it a lot lately. It's probably one of the best things I've read in a long time. But he says the only thing that matters is, in the beginning, is to make a decision, to make your mind up. And I think this is so true. It's so powerful, because, like, having a great plan, it's all mumbo jumbo. Taking action is cool too, but until you make that decision, I am going to make this business and I am going to succeed. As soon as you lock that in, now you're ready for it to actually go forward. And this is the first step in the theory of constraints. If your business is having all kinds of problems and you don't know what it is, maybe it's because you haven't made a decision that you are going to do whatever it takes to make this business successful. Okay. If you're just starting out in one of my programs or you're just seeing this, the first step is always to make a decision. You must commit and take complete responsibility. So make a decision. That is the first step. Next step is your personal life. Okay. As a business owner, if your home is chaotic, it will bleed over into the business. You can't scale a business if your personal life is in constant disorder. And it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy to run a business and have a personal life. I'm gonna go off on a rant here, but it's like, I'm finally going to the gym, every single day. I'm cleaning my house and I'm cleaning my office, and I'm finally making a lot of money, and I'm just barely mid. Okay, like life is hard. Life is getting harder. I am making more money than most. I'm better than most, but I'm still have just as much time. Like you just don't have as much time in the day to do all the things. And then whenever I've been running other businesses, currently the business I'm at, it doesn't require as much of me, but it's hard to balance your home life and a business, right? Especially a business that is super time consuming and that you're really trying to make successful, right? I still recommend, if you're between the ages of like 20 and 40 years old, like just lock yourself in a room for a year of your life, commit, 6 to 12 months to this business, and then you'll be successful for the rest of your life. But, when you have kids, when you have family members, when you have relationships, it's very hard to do that and to remain sane. But you do have to find a way. You do have to find that natural balance between your loved ones and your business and making money. Your body, your energy is a constraint. All right, poor health equals poor performance. I was always kind of one of those like work harder fucking people, right? I was in the military. I was in the oil field. I grew up very blue collar, and only thing I knew how to do was work, right? And that was a moment of pride for me. It's like no one will outwork me, and I mean it's still relevant today. But towards the end of last year, I got really sick, and I couldn't work anymore. And it was like, oh, well, this is different. This is reality. You have to, if your body is sick, if you can't fucking work, you got an issue, right? You got to go back. You got to take a break. You got to recover. You got to love yourself enough to heal your body. And, it's been an ongoing process. I'm feeling a lot better now, but that was rough for a while there. And energy was serious. Like I would wake up early, but I would just barely survive my work day. And then by the end of the day, I would just have to pass out, and because I was so sick. So energy is everything. Take care of your body, make sure you're eating the right foods, make sure you're not, taking too many pills or drugs or alcohol, and monitor yourself. I did this, and this yesterday. I feel like shit. Probably shouldn't do that anymore, right? Keep tabs on yourself, and like try and always come back to the purest that you can be. Have eat the same things every day for a while if you have to. Just drink water. Do the basics. Stop drinking soda. Stop drinking coffee. Stop drinking Monster energy drinks. Like whatever it is that's damaging you and not growing you, because eventually that will catch up with you, right? Whether it's now or it's 10 years from now, it will catch up with you, right? So you have to take care of your body. But this is, again, number one, you have to make sure you have the right decision that I am going to be successful. You have to make sure your personal life is somewhat in order. You have to make sure your body is on the right path and you're not getting sick. And then you have to have mental clarity, right? When I was sick, my mind would be foggy. And then lately, I'm really a serious day trader. Like I'm committed to performing and making money in the markets. And I'm finally at a place where I can take as much money as I want from the markets, but it's also in the markets, in my business, like having clarity and having not a foggy mind and knowing what to do every day is priceless. Okay. It is absolutely crucial that you get some clarity and you do everything you can to have as clear a mind as possible. Now, to have a clear mind, you have to get enough sleep. You have to eat the right amount of food. You have to know, what you have to do tomorrow, like write out all the things you have to do tomorrow, make a to-do list, and then run through those things. Get everything done that you possibly can. And I am a hypocrite. Like, I'm running multiple businesses, and I'm realizing that I have all these open loops, right? Like an open loop is like right now I just bought a new truck and I have to sell my old truck. And instead of like selling it or cleaning it or listing it on, Facebook Marketplace or doing anything, it's just sitting there. It's getting its wires eaten by pack rats as we speak. And it's one of those things like I have to fucking do it. And but I never close the loop. I never find the time to do it. So the more loops that you can close and the more focus that you can bring to your life, the better your life is going to be. The more you can basically succeed. So to have a clear mind, you really need to close all those loops, get the right amount of sleep, get clarity on the next steps that you have to do, and then just relentlessly focus on those things. And then, like I said last week, is like find things to sacrifice so you can have more fuel. Relationships, okay? Your environment limits or lifts you. Toxic relationships can drain your focus and momentum. Having negative people in your life, you got to cut them out of your life. Having a negative business partner, having a negative spouse or life partner, these people are not lifting you up. They're limiting you, and you need to eliminate all the negative shit out of your life so that you can go forward. Okay. And then your focus. What you focus on grows. So distraction is the death of all scale, right? If you're wondering why your business isn't growing, but you spend 6 hours a day working on other stuff or not working on the right stuff, you're obviously not going to be able to scale. Okay, so those were like the personal stuff that you have to get in order before you can actually scale your business. I know this is a business training, but if you don't have these things in order, you're not going to be able to scale. You do not pass go, do not collect $200. Like, you need to get that shit in order so that when you go into the next part, which is actually making money, actually going into the marketplace, you're good to go. Okay, so now we're just going to focus on, I guess we got time management, but here's another one. Is like a lot of people say they do a side hustle, but then they work on it like 1 hour a week. And if that's all you got and you're consistent with that, okay. But like time management as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you need to be ruthless with your time. You need to knock things out of the park, and you need to do it every single day. I try and do 6 things a day. I call them my big 6. Okay. And then I try not to go to sleep at night until I have completed all 6 of my big tasks or my main habits that I have to complete before the day is done. And then also it's like rewarding to win the fucking day. It's rewarding to know what you need to do, wake up in the morning and get that shit done and do it to the best of your ability. And then you can actually, feel like you conquered the day, right? And that's really what you want when it comes down to time management. Also, kick people off your calendar. Like, don't let people waste your time. Okay, now we'll talk about the business. I guess water. So if your business isn't scaling, if you're not getting the traction that you want out of the business, the very first thing you need to make sure is my offer friendly? Is my offer, converting? Is it cold friendly? A lot of these business people, they're like, I want to make $1 million a month, but their offer is like making, job boards for, high executive companies. Like, there isn't $1 million in your niche. Maybe your offer just sucks, right? Maybe you're not doing the work that needs to be done, and you need to go back to the drawing board, or you need to talk to your customers and find out, why did you buy my offer? Or you need to talk to people and really understand, like, what is it that, you would pay good money for right now? What are your biggest pain points that if we could just remove, right? But the biggest thing is also, like, make sure the marketplace wants to pay for your offer right now. The offer is everything. And I made a whole video. Go read Alex Hormozi's book on offers, so on and so forth. But the first, constraint is maybe your offer sucks. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and you need to add a guarantee, or you need to add, spice it up a little bit. Find a better way to say it. I really love the power offer. Power offer is you take all your offer and you condense it into, a few simple sentences, and then you test it by posting it in Facebook groups and Reddit forums and on Instagram and TikTok. And if you aren't getting any replies, that means your offer sucks, right? But if you are, and then you test ruthlessly until you create what I call the power offer. And now your power offer is when you can post it to a cold audience of people that are potentially your ideal avatar, customer avatar, and it starts to at least start a conversation. That's how you know your offer can be ready for ads. So first thing is your offer. Is your offer working? Is it cold friendly? Can we improve the offer? Those are the three main questions. Next, ads. Okay, so ads are, is that next? I thought there was something in between. But ads are the easiest way to scale any business. It's just the easiest way to scale any business is to just spend more on ads. So by extension, your sole focus as a founder is figuring out how can we spend more, right? And the best way I've found to answer that question is to ask a more specific question. Why can't we double our ad spend tomorrow? All right, so ads, your creatives, your copy, your angles, your targeting, the platform. Ads will reveal the cracks in your system, okay? And what we're learning more and more is, like, in most companies that I've had super success with, they find one platform and like one ad or multiple ads, but one angle that just crushes it. And if you can find the right audience on the right platform with the right ad, you could retire, right? If it's clicking, you can ride that sucker to the moon, and it can change your life financially, your business's life forever. And the biggest thing you have to figure out is, like, if you can't spend more money, if you can't double your ad budget tomorrow, why not? Right? What is it? Is it because the ads aren't converting? Is it the angle? Is it the targeting? Are you on the wrong platform? These are the questions that you have to ask. And as soon as you can pinpoint, okay, it's not sales, it's not fulfillment, it's not my offer, it's just the ads, now you know what to focus on. And if you need to fix your ads, I recommend you make, 10 to 50 ads, different creatives, and you put them all into separate categories and you test all of them ruthlessly. And then you find that one ad, and that one ad can, again, retire you. It can retire your parents, your family, right? And you can ride that sucker as long as you can, but then you know what works and you just recreate those kinds of ads over and over and over. But a lot of people, they're scared to spend money on ads. They don't get it. They don't see the ROI. But as a business owner, some people are just, they got to put their balls on the table at some point. Like they haven't tried to actually grow their business. They're scared for some reason. And that's another decision. You got to go back to the beginning, which is you need to make a decision that I am going to be successful with this business. And these are the numbers we're going to hit. And then we reverse engineer it. Okay. Ads. Next is your funnel. Okay. So the funnel, I consider like your website, right? So your landing page, the calendar, the copy, the VSL, maybe your ads are like sending you tons and tons of leads, but then they hit your landing page and they just bounce off and they don't book a call. So then that would mean that your funnel is not working. You need to write some better copy. You need to make a new VSL. You need to just put in some hard work, right? Some of my favorite stuff to do is, what's it called? I think it's like Hotjar or something like that. But it will actually tell you where people's mice go while they're on your landing page. So then you'll see, oh, everybody scrolls down to this part and then leaves. Okay, so then you need to change the headline there. You need to add a picture there. You need to make that better. And then also you can also go into like the analytics of your VSL. Where are people falling off? Where are people not converting into become a customer? Like how far into the video are they getting before they leave the page or they book a call? And again, like it's also the filter. Like right now we're filtering probably too hard on our calendar and we're not getting as many bookings, even though we're spending more money. So this tells me, okay, let's not restrict it as much. Let's take our foot back off the filter and let more people through so that we can keep making money. Next question, calendar, right? Do you have a packed out sales calendar, right? Do you have at least the next 3 days on your calendar completely packed out. If you don't, okay, then you got to figure out, how can I have a more of efficient calendar? How can I have more availability? How Alex Hormozy says the quickest way to double your sales is to open up the time slots and have more available times that people can book, right? So open up your calendar. What does your calendar look like? If you have nobody on your calendar, then you definitely need to fix your ads, your offer, your ads, and your funnel. And then you get to the calendar part. And then you need to learn how to manage your calendar. Okay, if each sales call takes 1 hour, and I suck at sales and I can only close 1 out of 10 sales calls, then I need to take 10 sales calls a day, right? And then I need to make sure that my budget for each one of those sales calls is cheap, so that, and my price for what I sell is high, right? But if you can, the average close rate that you should be shooting for is at least like 40%, right? And then out of the people that show up, how many of them are qualified? Is it at least 70% qualified? And then out of the 70% that are qualified, how many people show up, right? So these are actually 2 questions that you need to ask yourself. Okay, first of all, the ads are working. My calendar's maxed out. How many of the people on my calendar, though, are actually qualified, right? And then how many people are showing up? Okay, so if you have a big no-show, then you need to fix the no-show rate. You need to figure out your text messages, your emails. You need to send them some videos. If it's that everybody that books on your calendar, maybe 20% are qualified, then you need to change the angle. You need to change the targeting, and you need to work on getting better people to be more interested in your business. And like, I have one guy right now who's getting book calls for like 25 or $50. And then he says, oh, none of them have money. Okay, well, how are you tracking that? And then how many people actually do have money, and how many people are you just not good at sales, right? You need to ask yourself, like, is it a sales problem, or is it actually these people suck? And then if the leads actually suck, then you have to put questions, and you have to only let people that are qualified book onto your calendar, right? You need to, what's the avatar, your customer avatar? Like, what's their age? Are they, is it male or female? Are they in the United States? Is it worldwide? Are they basically like, do they have good credit? What's their average income? And then you need to filter extremely hard, and you need to make sure that the only people that can get on your calendar are really qualified. Okay. And then if they're all qualified, how much does that cost? And then how many calls, and then what's your show up rate, right? If your show up rate is trash, no one's showing up, you need to add a appointment setter, maybe, to call everybody and like triage them to show up to the call, stuff like that. All right. And then it comes down to your sales calls, finally, your closers, right? Every call is a constraint test. Okay. Are you converting, or are you confusing, right? Do you have like a structured sales pitch that's repeatable? Nothing will kill your business faster than you stop doing sales calls and you put a shitty closer on there. I only want to work with closers that have been through the trenches, right? That are seriously hungry. Okay. I want 2 types of closers whenever I'm trying to find the best closer. One who has, stood the test of time and been a top closer at another company, or number 2, someone who's young, usually male. It could be female though, and has just a shitload of energy and will listen. They have to be coachable. Okay. I have another guy who thinks he knows everything, and he's made $1 bajillion in some other e-com made up business, but he won't listen. And if you won't listen, you're never going to get better, and you're never going to be a good sales call. Sales is usually a game of listening to the prospect, repeating back to the prospect, and then helping the prospect come to a decision. Okay. But the numbers you want to shoot for is at least a 35% closing rate, and then at least an average of 80% cash revenue. When I say cash revenue, it's like you want to collect cash. Not everybody's going to pay the PIF, right? The paid in full, but you want to try and collect as much cash as you can up front, so that you don't have these, like, you don't have made up money, right? The contract money, the payments, the second payments, the third payments, that's not here right now. So we need to make sure we are collecting as much cash up front as possible, right? We need to get down to the nitty gritty on our sales calls and be like, okay, look, like, let's just be honest for a second. Is that all right? How much do you have in your bank account? What can we do to get you into this program? But also, I don't want you to end up, having to pawn your grandma's watch or whatever just to pay bills next week. Like, what is something realistically that we can put down? Because I don't think you should pay nothing to join this program, but I don't think you should pay everything. That's it's a line from Tanner. I love that line. But you got to make sure you're collecting as much cash as possible, and you want to try and get your close rate to at least 35% or more. And then fulfillment. All right, I am the fulfillment guru. Get your clients results. Okay, so over deliver without overextending. Right, you want to give your clients that just paid you a lot of money a great experience, right? But you also want to know, when is your back end going to become a problem, right? Like, ask yourself right now as a business owner, could you onboard 20 new clients per week, right? Like right now, if 20 new clients all paid for your program, what kind of experience would each one of them get? How many refunds would you be getting? How many people would just be like quitting? How many CSMs do you have on the back end? What is your fulfillment process? These are the questions you need to ask yourself, because there is a point where, almost all the gurus and everybody, all they talk about is sales and marketing. But, it's probably because most people never get to the point where they actually have to fulfill on the offer. Like, they actually have a shitload of clients, and it becomes another bottleneck in the business, because instead of being able to focus on sales and marketing, which is growing, you have to go back now and you have to focus on the clients that have already paid you, and you have to make sure they get a good result. Okay, so make sure you go and watch my video on $100 million fulfillment, if fulfillment is your issue. And then if you need a CSM, obviously at Client Success Club, I'm the co-owner of that company. We have tons of CSMs, and also if you're looking for a job as a CSM, hit us up, clientsuccessclub.io, or shoot me a message. But the fulfillment side can become a bottleneck. I've had multiple companies where we literally have to shut down sales and marketing because we have too many clients on the back end that are getting neglected, that we have to focus on. Okay. And you don't want to get to that point, because obviously if nobody's focused on sales and marketing, then the new money is dying. There's no more new money coming into the company, and you still have to pay for everything. So you don't want this to happen. So just make sure you're keeping that on track. If that does become your bottleneck, then you need to get to the next step, which is your team and hiring. Okay. You can't scale solo. I am starting, a solopreneur newsletter business. Check out lionden.io. But every business that I've ever had, my first few businesses, I held on to everything way too tight. I thought no one would be able to do as good a job as me. So I just tried to really do it myself. And I ended up just burning myself out, like burning the candle at both ends, until the point where there was no more candle, right? No more Roberto. So I now know you need to make SOPs. Well, number one, you got to have a good culture. Okay. My last business, I had a really shitty business partner, and he was just like egotistical and didn't listen. And it kind of killed the whole vibe of the company, right? My new company, I love everybody I'm working with. I think we're a super cool team. I think we're going places, and that's the culture you want. We're working together to succeed. Okay. It's not me against the world. It's all of us are working together, and we have to make SOPs for when we need to hire a new person. Like if you needed to hire a new setter, it should only take 7 days of doing interviews and talking to people, and then like 14 days to onboard them or less. And then now they're making you money. Now they're generating money. Or like you need to have this shit dialed in to be able to hire people, train people, and have these people working for you. And almost always when you hire someone for a little while, you're going to have to pay them, and you're going to have to do their job. Okay. So you have to know how to do this. All right. So the bottleneck though often is delegate or die, especially if you're trying to move fast. How fast can you hire? How fast can you onboard? And then you need to document everything you do for this process. For those 7 days that you're doing this, you need to document, okay, this is where we get the best candidates. Right? This is how many candidates we had to interview in order to get one good person. This is how long it takes for them to get trained and up to date so they can actually do their job. And then boom, now we can move on. Okay. Or not move on, but now they're part of the company. Now they're in the culture. Now it's awesome that they're part of the team, but you got to build this into a system. And this can be a bottleneck, right? either you have too many sales calls and you have to hire more salespeople, or you've got too many clients and you have to hire CSMs, or you need like a video editor because you need more ad creatives, or you need a finance person because your finances are all over the place and you never did it. Like, but you have to have a system, and you have to know, like, is that the bottleneck right now? Is that why I'm pulling my hair out and crying myself to sleep at night because I don't have enough people on my team? Okay, that is an issue. That's a real thing. And then finances, right? You can't grow what you don't track. Financial confusion is a silent killer. It's not even a silent killer. If you're paying attention and you notice that your money is slipping and you don't know where the money is going, great. You make all this money and you don't know where it's going. Awesome. Let's have you run the country, right? Let's let's give you more money. So you gotta really be in the game, right? And for all the coaching businesses and the online business that I teach, your profit margin should be about 50%. That's kind of high a little bit, but that's the reality of these online businesses. You can make a business that is making a 50% profit margin. All right. It's very, very doable. In fact, it could be even higher than that. Typically, though, when I run the numbers, as long as you're over 35% profit margins, you can scale to, like $100 million business, right? The margins there, if the systems is in place, you can really crank up the dials and print with these kinds of businesses. But the system that I found is every Monday, you look over all the finances. And then every Friday before you clock off, you look over all the finances. And obviously you're looking at your bank account every morning, but you actually do like a deep dive. Like Monday, what is our goal for this week? Like, how much are we going to make? Friday, did we hit that goal? What did we spend money on? Where is the money going? How are we going to get funding for the next stuff? Blah, blah, blah. Did anything get skewed? Did we overpay for anything? Can we negotiate with any of these software companies to get a better price? So on and so forth, stuff like that. But Mondays and Fridays are finance. Okay. So Monday, you and your managers go over finance. Friday, usually it's just me. Usually I just do it, but it's also good to go over with your team. But it's cool to have that kind of consistency of tracking your numbers in like even just a Google spreadsheet or anything like that, so you know where all your money is going. I usually break it down into buckets. It's like you got to pay your sales team, you got to pay your fulfillment team, you got to pay for software, you got to pay for ads. Those are like the main four. And then you got to pay yourself and you got to pay your management, right? So those are like the 5 things that we kind of bucket, and like a lot of the times we spend a shitload on ads. I don't consider that really an expense though, because that's an investment and we try and spend as much as we can on ads. But we do end up with a lot of software fees that are killing it. And then there's other little credit card bills and loans that the businesses take on that takes money away from the business. So you just have to track all this stuff. And you really got to be all over it. I think that was it. I think we did it, guys and gals. And then you scale. Okay. So that's pretty much the name of the game. And like, you're really looking over these things and you're trying to figure out, okay, I don't have a sales problem, but my lead quality is shit. Okay. So then now as a CEO, you go focus on improving your lead quality, and then you pop back out. Okay. Say, okay, lead quality's in. Now it's my show up rate. Okay. Now I go focus on the show up rate. Okay. Show up rate's up, lead quality's up, closing of sales, we're making money up. Now I've got to fix my fulfillment. Okay. And that's what the business owner does. That's what management does. You're on the back end, and you hyper focus on wherever the fire is, you fix it, you put it out, you scale back. Then you hyper focus wherever the fire is, you basically fix it, you scale back, right? And that's what the theory of constraint is, and that's what we can really focus on. And there's a lot more. Hope you guys like this, and I hope it makes sense. Yeah, Robert R. Lyon is my Instagram handle. Actually, I have like 2 Instagrams, but only because Instagram shut down my main account, which is rude. But it's Robert Lyon Den is one of them, and then Robert R. Lyon is my main Instagram. And then the Lion Show is pretty much, you can just Google the Lion Show and I pop up everywhere. Any other questions from anybody? Appreciate you guys. I hope this was helpful. Check out my newsletter. So if you really want to, learn more about what I'm doing and get some more free knowledge, lionden.io. I'm going to have some merch coming soon, but you just put your little email in here. It's a daily entrepreneur and business mindset newsletter. So I promise I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to give you the most valuable stuff that I can deliver. Again, I've been part of, businesses that have made over $1 million a month. I currently have a business that's doing about $250,000 a month, and I only work a couple hours a day. So I've actually cracked the code on, creating financial freedom, and I'm just trying to give back and help others. All right. If anybody has any questions, though, like apparently we're going to zoom in on my face because this stupid smart camera. Hit me up. I'm trying to do more of these live streams, though. Hit me with some questions. Let me know if you guys have anything. And bye-bye. I guess that's what it is for the day. Peace.